Hi, thank you for clicking on the video, and I hope everyone is doing really well today. So I'm going to be addressing 2 comments that have been left on some of my videos. The first, it has been left multiple times on multiple videos, on some of my older videos, and then the other one, I have addressed it in like a response, like I commented back, like answering the person's question, but I think that it requires a little bit more detail. So before I get into it, be sure to give this video a like and be sure to subscribe. So this question has been left multiple times on a lot of my older videos when I was living at my parents' house when I first moved back home, and on my wall there started to appear a collection of items, and a lot of people want to know what's up with all the weapons. So from a very young age, I'm gonna say probably when the first time I saw Karate Kid and movies like that, I definitely started to have an interest in self-defense. When I was younger, I wanted to be a cage fighter. I discovered a superhero when I was probably in middle school, and she is from the DC comic world. If I could be any superhero, I would be her. So then a few years ago, I was gifted, and by gifted, I kind of just took from someone who, they're okay with it. I took these. These are Psy. The superhero that I would love to be also carries these, and I'm like thrilled beyond words that I get to have what she has. And these are actually really cool because if you can see here, the end is actually blunt, so that means that these are not for attacking, they're for defense, so they're for protecting. And that is how I see all the items that were hanging on my wall. I have an old style police baton, I have brass knuckles, I have a gun, it is not real, okay, and I have a sword like a katana. I want to build this collection. I would love to have a true samurai sword, like a saber, a machete, a retractable baton would be awesome. And I mean, just like so many things. And I see these things not as tools to harm people, but tools to protect yourself. I also see them as great wall decoration, okay? I'm coming from an interior design mindset, okay? And I love like that idea of like, you know, in medieval times, like you have the walls of swords and like spears and stuff, and I think that's really cool. I don't know. So this whole interest into these things definitely stems from childhood, of just really being interested and intrigued and being presented with like these martial arts movies. I've always been intrigued by that, but I think it definitely also stems from that particular superhero. So if you know who she is, definitely leave it in the comments and let me know that you figured out who I would love to be if I could be a superhero. These are just things, okay? These are just things that I like to collect. Might seem like that's really crazy, kind of weird, but I mean, everyone has their interests, and these are my interests. Nunchucks, I would also love some nunchucks. Again, it's not for hurting people, it's for protecting. Deem me psycho, like respect the item and not just play with them, and that is why I hang them up. I'm not gonna play with them, like they're not toys. I have 0 skills. I used to be able to spin these really good, like flip them, and I tried just like an hour ago, and I probably have like bruises all over my elbow because I kept hitting my elbow with them. So like that is why I'm just like, keep them away and just put them, they're just decoration at this point. And if I ever do get the chance to learn how to use them, that would be super cool. Bow staff, that's another one. That'd be kind of cool to have. Hand these to a little kid and be like, okay, go have fun. Like, no. It's like, please don't touch them. Please don't touch them. Those of you who wanted to know what's with the weapons, I'm not like some crazy torture person or whatever. I just like collecting things, and this is just one of those things I like to collect. I also collect teacups. antique teacups, okay? I'm a woman of many interests, okay? All right, so my second thing I want to talk about real quickly, which is actually the more important thing to talk about. A while ago, this was a long time ago, I was left a comment. Basically, a person was talking about how they're afraid to eat because every time they eat, they end up feeling like fat. They end up feeling very full, and they don't like that feeling of full. I actually just found on my bedside table a note that I had written to myself, like, this is something you should talk about. And it's feeling like, I feel like I gain weight every time I eat anything. And around the time that that person left that comment, I too was also really struggling with that feeling of my brain was still associating all food with weight gain. Like that's the correlation. That is the connection. You eat food, you gain weight. There's no in between. A lot of us dread having to eat, and it's not that we dread eating, we dread what comes after eating, and that's the fear. It's the anxiety. It's the stress of knowing we just ate and afraid of what's going to happen to us. It takes practice. It takes messing up. This is what worked for me in those moments of complete distress and hopelessness after eating, and you just feel sick to your stomach and you feel as though you ate too much and you feel like you're going to gain weight, or you are like gaining weight as you sit there. You have to sit in it. You have to experience that negative moment. As you're sitting in it, you can tell yourself so many things. You can tell yourself that all of these fears are true and they will come true, or you can counter them. This takes a lot of practice and self-awareness. I didn't have that kind of self-awareness when I first started recovery, but I'm gradually building, and I'm building every day. So I can have a conversation with myself, being logical and thinking to yourself, okay, I've eaten salad before. Did I get fat from eating salad before? No, you stayed the same size. So I ate salad again, and it was the exact same salad as I did before. It's going to have the same result. I'm going to be okay. While yes, you are going through this by yourself, you're experiencing it by yourself, that does not mean you are unsupported or you can only rely on yourself for support. I think it's really important to have someone who is there with you, maybe not physically, but someone that you can call or text or speak to and tell them, listen, I feel fat. It also takes a lot of time and practice and effort on their part to learn to help you with the logical thinking. I have my husband, I think it bothers him more than it annoys him when I eat and I'm like, oh, I ate too much. And he'll ask me, well, did you? And I'm like, yes. In my head, I'm having a dialogue. I'm talking to myself about, well, did you eat too much? Did you? And sometimes it takes an hour or two after eating of thinking about it, wallowing in it, being miserable, to finally come out of it and be like, okay, maybe I didn't eat too much. It's important to be able to verbally express what you're feeling. Even if that feeling is feeling fat, and we all know you can't feel fat, okay? It's not a feeling, but it's important to be able to have that person that you can rely on and trust for support, who is willing to hear that illogical sentence, I feel fat. They're going to sit down with you, give you a hug, and tell you, okay, well, why do you feel fat? Because a lot of the time when we say we feel fat, it's a synonym for you're feeling poopy. You're feeling low about something, at least for me. When I feel fat, I am anxious about something. I eat when I'm anxious. I know that now. And so I might eat more than I was hoping to or planning on, and I might eat it really fast in a very, very short period of time, and then all of a sudden that's a new anxiety on top of the old anxiety, and so then suddenly my brain is like, fat. That whole feeling that you're feeling is fat, when really it's just stress, it's anxiety. And so to be able to verbalize it instead of just beating it and internalizing it, being able to verbalize it out physically to someone is super important, because it puts it out there into the universe, and that person can then help you because they're in your life, they're there to support you, they're there to help you, so lean on them. People are always like, how can I help someone with an eating disorder? Here's one way you can do it. Just be there in their moments of distress, and these are the moments of distress. It's around eating. So be there for them as the person going through recovery, as the person who is going through this kind of distress and anxiety. You need to learn, I mean, it's hard. You have to trust that person. That person is going to be there, the voice of reason when you're being unreasonable. And you need to just listen to them. And for me, sometimes within the first few moments of, oh my God, I feel fat, I've eaten too much, and my husband is like, well, have you? And I'm like, yes, I have. You wouldn't know. You weren't there. And it's like, well, yeah, he was there. And even if he wasn't there, he'd be like, I don't think so. But let's, like, why? And let's talk about it. Or sometimes we don't even have to talk about it. It just takes him questioning my feelings or my feeling of fatness. Him questioning it puts the question in my mind, and then I can start to talk myself through the logical explanation as to why I'm feeling this way. Those negative feelings don't magically go away once you've rationalized it, okay? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But it's important to lean on the rational explanation rather than falling back into the negative reaction to eating. So the next time you eat and you are suddenly like, oh my gosh, I'm gaining so much weight as I'm eating, stop. Take a second. Get away from the kitchen. Get away from where you were eating. Go somewhere quiet. Find that person that you can rely on and start thinking. Think to yourself, does this make logical sense? And the thing about an eating disorder, I know it's not logical. It doesn't need to make any sense. So you need to counter the illogicalness of the eating disorder with logic. Whatever the eating disorder is telling you, try to see it in the opposite way. It's telling you this over here, well then you want to figure out a way to get over here, get away from it, and think for yourself. Anyone who has felt this way or is feeling this way about eating, that you are always feeling like every bite you take is just a pound on your body, I hope this kind of steers you in a new direction. And like I said, it takes time. It takes a lot of time and a lot of learning how to stop within a moment, shifting your mindset ever so slightly. It's a gradual thing, and don't be afraid of how slow the process is. I used to think that as soon as I chose recovery, I was suddenly going to have the best relationship with food and never feel fat again. I'm so glad that didn't happen, that it had to be this slow. Sometimes I hate it, sometimes it's terrible, but I don't know where the end is. I don't know when that happens, and I'm okay with that. If you have any questions or comments or anything you would like to know, you've been struggling with and a little bit in like scared to ask or say, that's the first step, is put the fear aside and just ask, whether it's me or someone else. I'm not a professional, but I can always use my own experience to give some sort of encouragement. But if it is obviously something super serious, perhaps a professional would be better. But feel free to leave comments or questions down below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!